my 1111 YouTube friends. Let's build an engine, huh? Loved all the comments in the last video. Some of you got some pretty impressive collections, let me tell you. I was surprised, I was really actually very surprised on how many other brand guys out there are watching my videos, like Artie Cat guys, Skidoo guys. They list their sleds that they're riding or their past rides. It was all Artie Cat or all Skidoos, or a lot of you have a big mix of all the brands. And I'm fairly brand loyal to Polaris only because it's easiest to have one type of parts around here. I mean, a lot of the parts will go from one engine to another, or one chassis to another. It just makes things way easier, but I really don't care what people ride. I'm not one of them guys, oh, you're riding Artie Cat, I can't talk to you. Not the case at all. We all have the love for snowmobiling and two strokes and working on machines. That's straight across the board. We all have the same love for doing that. But loved all the comments. This week's comment challenge is, what is the first sled you remember riding? What'd you cut your teeth on? What'd you learn how to ride on? Was it your dad's sled or your uncle's sled or your grandpa's sled? Or was it the neighbor's sled? Tell us. I want to know, what was the first sled you cut your teeth on? What'd you learn to ride on? I learned how to ride on a 1972 Ski-Doo Elon. It was my uncle's snowmobile, and then it became my dad's for a while, and that's what my brother and we probably put 85,000 miles around our lot, our yard. The town we grew, or the city we grew up in, we had a fairly large style city lot, but you couldn't in the wintertime find a piece of unpacked snow in that entire yard. I mean, it was, every square inch was packed flat from driving that Elon around and around and around and around. Hundreds of gallons of gas a winter, I'm sure. But yeah, that's what I cut my teeth on, was a 1972 Skidoo Elon. So let's hear it. I want to know what you guys started off on. Yeah, we're gonna build an engine. I'm not gonna go overly in depth in building it. Just watch the video. It's gonna be kind of the finish up video of Project Race Sled here. I'm gonna put the engine together. Right now, everything's just parts washed. I'm gonna bead blast it. I'm gonna parts wash it again. I'm gonna hone it. I'm gonna start assembly. I'll do little blips, but I'm not gonna, I already have plenty of engine building videos on my channel. If you want to go back and learn exactly all the specs, all that stuff, go back and watch one of them videos. I'm not going to go into all that on this video. I'm just going to kind of breeze right through this, throw in some video clips here and there of me putting things together. But yeah, check out the other engine buildings. I have a playlist of building engines. Check that out. If you're looking for something specific on how to put one of your engines together, check that out. So let's get this bugger together so we could put fire in the hole yet this weekend. So thanks, guys, and follow along. All right, we're at the parts washer. We'll give everything a good wash and give it a hone while it's over here. And then it's to the sink, rinse everything, soap everything, clean it real good, and dry everything off. Start assembling. Get these blown out real well. Being it was in the bead blaster, I'll make sure everything gets cleaned out of those oil injectors there. Well, we'll just set everything right here to dry for a while, and I'll get everything blown out good, and we'll start assembling the engine. Everything's looking all cleaned up, looking amazing, ready to reassemble. Got the cylinders honed. Everything's ready to go back together. I even got the top end kit sitting here. Thanks again to E&I Motorsports in Michigan. Please check them out on eBay, or you can find them on Amazon also. E&I Motorsports. They sent the top end kit and the gasket kit, and we have a beautiful, in this bag, beautiful NOS crank from Tom Gara. You can also find him on eBay. Tom Gara, super great guy to deal with. I have bought several cranks from him. Fast shipping, shows up very, very quick. So, if you want to know how to do the engine, like I said, please check my playlist on monoblocks, XLT, whatever I put in there. A lot of detail on assembling these ones. I'm just going to kind of cruise through this thing. And if you want to see all the specs and torques and how to do it, check out that video playlist. I did chamfer all the oiling holes for the crank bearings. I don't see how it can hurt. I just go in there with a little chamfer and chamfer off the hole. I hit the outer, the PTO bearing one real good in here so the oil can kind of funnel right into those. I'm not going to add the fourth oil line on this engine. These very early XLTs weren't really known for chewing up crank bearings. I'm just going to leave well enough alone on this one. I'm not adding anything. It seemed to be in the later years is when they started developing some crank bearing issues. So I'm leaving this alone. Like I said, this engine had 8,500 miles on it. Bearings are still really good on that crankshaft. I mean, it could still be ran. There's a couple thousand more miles easily left in that crankshaft, if not more, who knows. But I'm going to leave well enough alone. Just like that, there it is. I think I'll leave the carb boots off for right now. It might be easier to deal with the oil pump cable and stuff without the carb boots in the way. So all done, ready to slip it back into the chassis. Okay, engine's in. Just wrapping up the last few things. Just about to install the pull handle. Race Sled. Yeah, just about getting close. My goal is late afternoon today to be pulling on the old cord and getting fire in the hole. Well, looks like Trenton's mixing up some gas for it. I like to run our first tank with some mixed gas in it. That way all the fuel pump or oil pump lines can fill up with oil and stuff. So we pretty much just run 50 to 1 on our first tank. I'm working on fixing some choke cables over here. It's always something. I had to go in the parts room and scavenge out some parts to make up a set of choke cables here. And we'll get that in. He's putting antifreeze in right now. We got all the fuel system buttoned up other than the choke cables. And we'll just keep moving along here. Did score a purple skid plate today on one of my adventures. All right, here's a helpful hint on syncing your carbs. I looked in the book. It's an 01 580. So here it shows a .185 drill that goes between the cutaway and the carb body. So you just take the drill bit, which happens to be a number 13, is a .185. You just stick it down here. I back the idle screw off. I set my drill bit underneath the cutaway and the carb body. Then you adjust the cable from up here so that it just slides. Then I start running the idle screw back in until it gets loose, and then I turn it back just slightly so it just drags again. Do all 3 carbs, and when you are done, you got all that adjusted, it should be just the slightest touch of the throttle and bam! I mean, you can get these things dialed in. This, and you can do a little fine tuning. I mean, if they're slightly off, you can fine tune it again, but just with this, underneath the slide and the carb body, you can usually get it pretty frickin' almost dead right on. So there's a little hint on how to set your carbs with the drill bit. Every carb is different. Trenton's over here working on Jason now. Put a new boost controller on, I believe he's working on. New boost controller. I think he's done helping me. He's moving on to something different. What are you working on, Trenton?
Boost controller.
Boost controller?
Nothing for me to do now.
Oh, well, I'll be done with the carbs here in a minute. I'll get the air box back on. I'll get the vent lines ran, and I think we're really close to firing the hole. Well, getting closer and closer. Put parts on, take parts back off, put parts on, take them back off, right, Trenton? Yeah, we forgot to put a couple rivets in down here. So we had to take the exhaust back off so we can get the plate bent down far enough. And then we forgot a rivet right here. We noticed that, so we got that rivet in. I'm just working on getting the clutches on right now. And Trenton's gonna put the skid plate on yet. That's why we had to get those rivets in down there. All right, we're at that point of the video where Trenton says we're gonna start it. He gave the cylinders a little tickle of premix already. Makes things a lot easier to start these things when everything's bone dry. Or you blow into the gas cap, that usually helps too. But we just give the cylinders a little tickle and then go from there. Trenton gets the honors. All right, well, we've seen it run, and that went along with a whole bunch of struggles trying to get it started. I think Trenton tickled it a little bit too much, and we flooded the living hell out of it. And so I'm gonna have to do a bunch of editing because we pulled no less than 55 times to start it, I think. So you're not gonna wanna watch all that because it was boring. Yeah, we flooded it. These 580s flood easy, and we flooded it bad. But we got it going. It runs. Now it's the part of that video where we're gonna, yes, back it out of the shop. Trenton laughs. We're gonna back it out of the shop. Yeah, let's see what else is in the shop here because we have a full shop right now. We have a couple red rockets in here. Pretty excited about this. Long story on it. I might do a whole separate video on these two sleds and what the story is about them. But we have a 97 and 98 in here. Got a 97 there, and 98 sitting right here. 97 obviously has a 98 hood on it. I understand it was very common for people to put a 98 hood on the 97s. One is these were raced very hard, and the hoods got beat up on them, and a lot of people switched over to the 98 hood. I think part of it was because of the air intake that the 98s had. But that's a whole nother video in itself. But well, trying to close out this video has been a complete disaster. The scale quit working, so now we're just gonna fire it up. He's gonna do a couple rips around the yard. It's snowing like hell, but I just wanna finish the video, and I'm not waiting for a scale to come to try and close the video out. So, he's gonna fire it up, take a couple rips around the yard, I guess. up till we could take it out trail riding, guys. I'm sorry, the end of the video kind of ended up sucky, but the sled's done pretty much in a month. Probably one of our fastest builds. No mods. No mods makes a big difference. So pretty much take it all apart, clean everything, put it all back together. So that was about it. In all, with the cost of sandblasting, powder coating, the cost of the sled, the cost of everything else I put in it, I'm like $3,000 deep into this thing. Not terribly expensive build, but still I'm like $3,000 into doing this sled. Yeah, for, I mean, not too terrible, but it's gonna be a fun sled. Very fun sled. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I love the comments, and this week's comment challenge is, what did you start out riding on? What was the first sled you can remember that you learned to ride on? The one that you cut your teeth or cut your lip on, or your tongue. Mine was a 72 Elon, and I got a lot of memories of riding that snowmobile around our yard. So let's hear what you guys started out on, and what you think of the build. What do you think of the final product? So thanks for watching the series, everybody, and we'll do some riding videos coming up. Tell you more about these two also.